Hello, Joe.
How are you, Pat?
I'm hanging in there.
Did you get a new computer?
I got a new computer about a month ago, or 2 weeks ago, and today I turned it on and the screen was sideways. And it's hard to type that way when you're trying to hack something out.
Yeah, you got to turn and suspend
Then
yourself.
I went on to Dell and to have me all these, Dell. Okay, what do you want me to do here, boys?
Yeah.
And they gave you full instructions that didn't work at all. So finally, I went on Twitter, and some guy said, "You just call this up and then tell them you want portrait instead or landscape instead of portrait."
Yeah, that's the trouble I get in with printing here. I go portrait. And
you start clicking all sorts of buttons because it's not printing fast enough.
Is this a computer? Is this a newspaper supplied device?
No, this is my own.
I see.
They don't supply us contractors with bleep.
That's true.
Except I do.
You have a contract. Yeah, I don't have one.
A piss poor one, but I do have a contract.
Yeah.
Patrick, you're answering the question for some of the staff that is not on camera on our YouTube feed, because someone had said to me earlier today, "Boy, it'll be great when we can set Reusse up with a Zoom link when he joins the show." And I went, let's just stick to the
that's
phone.
not going to happen.
Hey, Pat, do we got winter juggernauts on our hand here with the Timberwolves and the Wild?
Yeah, the Timberwolves, they're a well-established NBA team now where they just, urinate on themselves for 3 quarters and then kick the other team.
Right. They did last night.
That's the NBA tradition, when you're really good. You just you go over there, you smoke a cigarette during the middle of the third quarter, and you do it, and you go talk to the gals up in the stands.
Right, and then you say, "All right, boys, let's score a few."
Yeah, let's kick the hell out of it. And by the way, we've seen that for 30 years with our Timberwolves being on the other side of that.
Right.
Hey, they might win this game. They're ahead of the Lakers with by 8 points with 10 minutes to go, and then they lose by 22. That's the way that happened. So the NBA is a different kind of thing. So.
And the Wild are gangbusters, man. They're just
good.
gangbusters.
What was the final? It was 3-1 last night.
5-2.
5-2, yeah.
5-2. Man, scoring goals. They're good, man.
They're at the Duck tonight.
The Duck stink.
Yeah.
So they'll be. I mean, hockey. It's you never know, but they are good. I think it's legit. The first 2 lines are really good. And then they got a bunch of plumbers, but then they got Faber, and you got some of these old defensemen, and the goalies are playing okay, but I think they're fairly legitimate. When you got one of the 3 best players in the league, you're pretty good because they've never had that before.
Yeah, he lost a tooth, and they stitched him up, and he came out. He's gangbusters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if he only wasn't a Russian, I could really like it. But anyway, that's. I mean, I don't. Like the old Bernsey story. I told you the old Bernsey story when his son-in-law his daughter was about to marry an Iranian, and he asked a guy. He said, "Hey, aren't we at war with Iran?" And they said, "Yes, but not specifically with this fellow." And I think he kind of had the same attitude with Kaprizov.
Pat, were you a deer hunter?
No, a couple of times I did. My old man loved it, man. But I did not. But I think when I was a kid, I was out 2 or 3 times, and one day we were out in southwestern Minnesota. They shoot shotgun shells with big lead honking
slugs
metal in them, and you can hear it. And I was down in a valley, and there was a deer running up kind of halfway up the hill, and I could hear these damn things going by, and I kind of gave up on it then. I didn't want to die from a big piece of lead into my forehead.
On the off chance that
I did on Tuesday night want to die from a big piece of lead in my head.
On the off chance that people haven't heard it, it's the start of deer hunting season. What, midnight tonight? Is that it?
No.
You You can't shoot them at night, can you?
Them for
Tell the story.
Guys would do it that way, but
I didn't mean that you were strap a headlight on your head.
He's got night vision goggles.
I guess it's fishing that starts at midnight.
There you go.
Yeah. There you go. Tell the story. I know you've told it before, but it's the season. Tell the story of Richard and the can of paint and the deer hunt.
Okay, Richard's up north, Ely. You know, he used to go up to various areas up north, hunting up north. And
he didn't have any of the kids with him. He was with his guys.
No, he just went by himself.
Okay.
And, imagine drank. He made himself some homemade martins and just had a good old time.
Yeah.
You know, half bleep faced in the deer stand. What can you beat that? How can you beat that?
Yep.
But anyway, he got a regular size one, but then he got a littler one that he kind of tucked in underneath the other one when he was bringing them back. And he had this. He was driving by the Twin Cities, and he had this idea that he should go see his buddy Kenny Malone, another undertaker down here, and have a few drinks. But you know, he worked hard at his pranks sometimes.
Yes.
In this case, he had one with small antlers on it, but you know, enough. So he stopped at a hardware store, and he got a little red paint, painted the deer's nose. Then he found some bells to put around the thing. Bells. You know, around, I don't know where hardware store.
Aisle 6.
I don't know where he did. But anyway, he, and the kids were all young then, you know.
Yeah.
So there was about 4 or 5 Malone kids, and he called out the youngest ones before he went in the house. He got one of the kids was out, and he got the youngest ones to come out, and he said, geez, I'm sorry, there's not going to be Christmas this year because I shot Rudolph. And I think the wife would have been okay with it if she didn't have like a 4-year-old.
Screaming.
Convinced that there wasn't going to be Rudolph. Because Rudolph got shot. So,
that, you know
when I
love the artwork that went into it. The craft that went into it.
That story officially,
huh?
The Malones, the sons, handled Richard's funeral service.
Yeah.
And then we had the wake, the night before, and everybody's sitting around and drinking. And David, one of the Malones, starts telling the story about Richard tormenting them with the death of the deer in the driveway when they were young kids, So I'd kind of heard snippets of it, but I hadn't heard the full story.
Oh, it's one of my favorites.
Got it from one of the witnesses. You're not going to tell me how I handled the election. You want to ask?
Well, you just told me you wish you had a big hunk of lead in your head. What do you want me to know?
I'm over it. You know what I did to get over it Wednesday? I looked up one of those actuary accounts, and put in my information. I might have fudged a little on the weight, but I put in my stuff. And I got a 57% chance to live 8 more years. Right?
Really?
That's according to this thing, a 57% chance. Now, if I gave them 5 more pounds, it might have been less. It might have been 55.
Yeah.
But I said I can't waste 4 of my final 8 years just being mad because one of the 25 biggest jackasses in America got elected president.
No, you can't waste it.
I can't. I got to go on with life. So I decided to go on with life, especially when those 8 years, when like the last 2 or 3, you're going to be in some place with lousy television, padding down the hall for 15 minutes once in the afternoon, once in the evening.
Loaded diaper.
Having to ring the bell at 2 a.m. and say you did something to yourself. And,
It's full again.
Yeah. I can't wait. Yeah. 4 of my last 5 years.
Well, you made the right call. You made a right call.
Wow. I'm going to just go on with my life and
adding to Joe's Positive Friday.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it, Pat.
I like how optimistic you are.
View of it.
It is terribly optimistic, and I'm.
Why should I waste why should I waste 80% of what remains of my life where I can still go to the bathroom by myself?
That's right.
That's right. Yeah.
I would hang on to that extra 10 pounds and live life to the fullest.
I love that you think you've got 8 years. That's really optimistic.
Well, but that I didn't just make that up. I looked, and they said if you're 79 and you have all these characteristics, and I put in there how much exercise you get. I put in there 0, So I didn't budget, 0.
Well, plus, Pat, as you noted on Monday Night Sports Talk, you've cut back on Diet Coke and you've replaced it with energy drinks.
Yes, that's right, which have even more caffeine. That's a good idea.
I'm going to mix it up, Joe.
In your report, was the term morbidly, did that appear at all?
No, they didn't. Morbidly.
Take that as a...
I don't like morbid.
Take that as a good...
I do think in my whole long life, there's nothing more than egregious. There's nothing more egregious than throwing that morbidly in.
I know. You don't need morbidly.
Can't they just say very fat?
Very.
Don't morbidly.
That sounds like you can't stand up.
Morbidly. And, all the political correct terms we use now, you can't. You can't be a cripple anymore, right? Okay,
right.
I don't call anybody that. You're disabled, but they can still call us fat guys morbidly obese.
But it's a step up from lard ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It's worse. I'd rather be called lard ass than morbid.
Oh, you know what I'm thinking of? Pat, earlier in the show, we discovered that NPR is doing a play reenacting the Edmund Fitzgerald. We need to have a play themed around you and Joe, where you guys act out something.
We'd love to.
We've got to do something. Hear ye.
Why not the Fitzgerald? I see Gilligan and the skipper right there, huh? Yeah. Hand me that life rope. Hit the distress signal.
Who's going to figure out first that we might be in trouble here?
I'd like to just
breaking in half.
Yeah, I see the little C guy coming up, knocking on the door. Hey, we're trying to write a column here. Get the hell out of here.
The boat's breaking
Why
in
is it
half.
so shaky?
I got in trouble with the wife for all the names I was calling the sideways computer today.
I bet. Yeah.
It was not good. She was upstairs and not even in the same room when I was shouting my MFers to. I don't think the computer cared though. It wasn't going to fix it just because I called it a lot of filthy names.
Right. But now you're fine.
I'm fine.
All right. We'll talk to you Monday.
Goodbye.
All right. Goodbye.
I'm fine, but it's upside down. It's not on its side.
Wow. Oh, yeah.